Fanatics. What up, y'all? See, I remember to do it this time. What up, y'all? We are at number 14. 14 left. Oh my goodness. And this has been a beast. I already told you this last time, but it has been a beast. But if you're following along, I'm getting better at this, I think. I'm not pausing as much. I'm not doing as many that kind of stuff. So I found out at work, those are called disfluencies, and I am getting rid of my disfluencies. So there you go. Number 14. Number 14 is the Tennessee Titans. Did we forget that they were just good for a while? They basically ended Tom Brady's time at New England. We didn't forget that, right? They started last year 7-3, and then they got killed by injuries. They had to field 86 players, which was 5 short of the record last year because they were so hurt. They had 34 players on IR. That ain't good. 34 players on IR. They had 339 games missed because of injuries between all their players. And that was, 33 more than second place? No, 36 more than second place, which was Denver. Before they got into last year, they had gone in 2021. They were 12-5. 2020 they were 11-5, and 2019 they were 9-7. So they went 9-7, 11-5, 12-5. Like, they were moving up. Yes, they lost AJ Brown. That might have been a reason maybe they were a little bit worse, but they started the year 7-3, and they had lost players before the season. They lost 10 players before the season. I remember us talking about it, and we're being like, "Oh no, what is happening in Tennessee? They just keep losing people. They're losing people this year. I don't know if they're losing people, but Traylon Burks he's already hurt. I didn't mean to laugh about that, but it's like a nervous laugh because why do people keep getting hurt in Tennessee? Oh man. So I have them 14th. I have them neck and neck with Jags all the way to the end. And then I have them beating the Jags at home to win the division. So let's do what we always do and go by PFF. So PFF, their secondary is 26th. They changed over a lot of their secondary. I think they're still below average, but I think that they're better than 26. Their D line is very good. They're 10th, which I'd have to see the people above them. And then they have their O line is 32nd, which they changed over, so you don't know. The same thing happened with Washington. They changed over 3 people, so there's no continuity. But they got the Eagles' first rounder from 4 years ago being their left tackle in Dillard. So Dillard was, I think, the first round pick. He was 22nd in the 19th draft. And then in the 2020 draft, Eagles just drafted a backup, basically, like a depth piece of a lineman in the 7th round. And then Mulata just took the spot. It's a 7th rounder who was excellent. He's still their left tackle. So, and Andre Dillard, he got hurt. So he missed the whole 2020 season and basically just couldn't get back on the field. But they kept him around. They didn't trade him off. He played out his full contract. They didn't give him his 5th-year option, but they wanted to keep him around just in case something happened because he's still a first-round pick talent. He's really good. So he finally hit free agency, and the Titans picked him up to be their left tackle. So we just don't know. We just haven't seen him. He didn't play a game last year, or he didn't start a game. He might have came in for a little bit. But he's just been a depth piece, but he's still a first-round talent as their left tackle. They drafted that kid out of Northwestern. What's his name? Skoronski at the rookie this year. And that's their left side of their line. The 22nd overall pick 4 years ago and the 11th overall pick from this past year. So 2 first-round talents And then they got who's the guy they got from San Francisco? Bromskill. So they got him coming over from San Francisco, which San Francisco has done pretty well with their offensive line talent. And then they just had they have what was his name, Brewer, and they kept Petitpierre. I don't really know him that well, so I probably should have. I wish I knew every offensive lineman that starts in the NFL. I know a lot. I don't know Petitpierre. I'm sorry, but we've seen Vrabel just. I mean, look at him last year. What was the guy that was playing hurt and Vrabel came and like gave him a hug, and it was like such a special moment for them. I think that he just gets players to buy in, and he finds talent in odd places. So 32nd, we did the same thing with Washington. You just don't know yet. Same thing with the Steelers. You just don't know that. There's so much changeover. They rebuilt their line, so who knows? I feel like Kansas City rebuilds their line every year, so we don't know. They want to run the ball. I think Vrabel knows how to do that, so I'm going to leave it with him. Vrabel's just a really good coach. He's just really, really good. We've never thought they had talent, and they still just win games because it's Vrabel. But this year they have DeAndre Hopkins that they got. And they got Arden Key from the Jags, who was one of their best defenders, best edge players. So Jags get worse, you get better. I talk about this quite a bit, especially in other divisions, mainly the NFC South. And then you get Murphy Bunting from the Bucks, who was pretty good. He wasn't. They had Carlton Davis and Winfield Jr., and he was like kind of like the third guy there, but he was pretty good. So they got him. They got that kid from the Niners, the linebacker. I don't think I wrote his name down. Al Jair, I think his name is. They don't really need him. They need him. The 49ers didn't need him. They have Warner and Greenlaw. I always say these names, and I just feel like it sounds wrong, but I think they're right. So if it's not Greenlaw, I don't know. My mind goes crazy when I get in front of here. You guys just make me so nervous. But yeah, they got killed last year with injuries. The second most fielded players ever. 339 missed games because of injury. And it looks like Traylon Burks is okay. So you have Traylon Burks and DeAndre Hopkins. You got a rebuilt offensive line. You have one of the best D lines in the league. Secondary is going to be like a piece that who knows. So, but they always find ways to win. They keep the other team's quarterback off the field. They're doing exactly what the Falcons are trying to do. Falcons just don't have as good of a coach, and they don't have as good of a quarterback. No matter who they're going to throw out Tannehill. Tannehill's going to start. Tannehill's going to play all year long. They're not throwing Will Levis or Malik Willis. Yes, right? That's another one. I think I did it, and then I don't know if it's right or not. So they're throwing out Tannehill, Derrick Henry, same guys have won 12 games and 11 games 2 years in a row, and then DeAndre Hopkins, who's still pretty good at football, I'm pretty sure, and Traylon Burks, who everybody says is going to break out this year. And they're going to do what they always do. Play solid defense, control the clock, run the ball, and be in it at the end. So let's do what we always do and go down last year's schedule and see what's what. So they got killed by injuries at the beginning of the year, and then they play the Giants the first game. Giants sneak up on them and win 21-20. Then they're at Bills, get crushed 41-7. Raiders they beat because everybody beats the Raiders 24-22. At Colts, they win 24-17. At Commanders, they win 21-17. Colts, they win again 19-10. At Texans, they win 17-10. They lose to the Chiefs at Chiefs 20-17. That was a really close game. Chiefs pulled it out at the end. They win against the Broncos 17-10, and they beat the Packers 27-17. And that's pretty good. That'll get you 7-3. And then the wheels fall off. They barely lose the Bengals 20-16, and then they keep getting crushed with injuries. They lose the Eagles 35-10. I think Malik Willis gets in at this point, and then he's just not good. So they lose the Jags 36-22. They lose at the Chargers 17-14. That was a close game. I remember that game as well. They lose the Texans 19-14. They lose the Cowboys 27-13, and then they lose at Jags 20-16. So a couple pretty close games there for throwing third stringers and undrafted guys and XFL players and whoever else they're throwing out in there because everybody's hurt. So this year I have them going to the Saints, winning because Saints can't stop the run. They lost 17-14 at Chargers last year. Chargers have to come cross country to Tennessee. If they're fully healthy, I could just assume they're going to beat the Chargers. So I have them as a win. Going to Cleveland, when I did my Cleveland episode, I said Cleveland was going to lose that game. I have since changed my mind. I think Cleveland wins this game, so that's their first loss. I think they beat Cincinnati at home just because I think they keep Burrow and Chase off the field, and it's you just lost. I feel like they need to refocus and get the win. At Indy, there's a win. At home to Baltimore, I have as a loss, but that's interesting. I just think that Baltimore, it's just a good coach against a good coach. And I think Baltimore's more talented, honestly. So I got Baltimore winning that, so it's a loss. Then you go on bye, you come back, you go home to Atlanta. You know Arthur Smith. You basically out Arthur Smith, and you win that game. And then on a short week, you get Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh has to travel to you, so I have that as but I still have it as a loss. I think Pittsburgh can stop the run, so I have that as a loss. Just a short week. Even though Pittsburgh's traveling, I think that their defense is too stout, and you're not going to be able to put up points against them. So then I have at Tampa Bay is a win because I think Tampa is starting to blow it up a little bit at this point. That could go either way because Tampa can stop the run, but I don't think they're going to be able to score against you either way. I don't know. That's a close one at Tampa. It depends. Like when I did my Tampa episode, it depends what Tampa's doing. If they're in the hunt, they'll keep all the guys. I think Tampa can win that one, but I think that they see themselves right here and it's a little too far behind, so they start trading off some pieces. Bowles could also get fired at this point. We'll see. And then you go to at the Jaguars. I think that's a loss because you usually lose at least one of the Jaguars. You're at home to Carolina. I think your team has more continuity. That's so close. But since it's at home, I'm going to give you the win against Carolina. Then at Indy, I think that's at home. Indy at home is a win. You go to Miami. Your secondary is 26th. Probably a little bit better, but PFF has 26. They got too many horses. Monday Night Football. I think Miami. I think Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle just eat the Titans alive. Then you got Houston at home is a win. Seattle, they have to come cross country to you. I think that's a win because you beat them last year. No, you didn't play them last year, but they have to come cross country. I think it's a win. At Houston is a loss because you always lose to Houston. And I think you're looking ahead to the Jags because no matter what happens in that game, you got to beat the Jags because I think you come in, both come in 10-6, and the winner of that game is the winner of the division. So because Jags won the first one, so if you do beat Houston, you're coming in 11-5, and Jags were coming in 10-6. If they beat you, they have the tiebreaker. So you have to win. You have to beat Jacksonville anyway, so it doesn't really matter if you beat Houston or not. So that's kind of how I have it playing out. So I have them at 11-6 and winning the division. And there's not much more to say about the Titans. We keep doing this. I don't know why we are all just dismissing these coaches. We just saw the Titans. The Titans have much more talent than I think they have more talent now than they were when they were winning divisions. Like, they got DeAndre Hopkins now. I know they had A.J. Brown, but year one, year two, A.J. Brown isn't this DeAndre Hopkins. A.J. Brown's probably a better player right now, but not by a lot. DeAndre Hopkins is still a pretty good player. So you get 2 first-round picks as your left tackle and left guard. You have a top 10 defense. You add some solid linebacking with the guy from San Francisco. I'm not going to pretend I know his name, or I can pronounce his name. And Arden Key. I think they're a really good team. I think they're a really, really strong team. Derrick Henry, I mean, maybe loses a step, but he's still Derrick Henry. I mean, he hasn't looked like he lost a step lately. So, I mean, if you started, I know they got Ryan Tannehill, but Ryan Tannehill has won games. Like he got benched last year, but I think because they knew they were not going to make the playoffs, and you got to see what you got in your rookie. I don't think that he was playing particularly bad. He couldn't. The offensive line was beat up. You can't. He can barely. He can barely get the ball out before getting destroyed. I mean, somebody's gonna have to tell me where they were better before. I think the only thing you could tell me is that Derrick Henry was younger and AJ Brown was better than this kind of DeAndre Hopkins, but that's about it. Yeah, they drafted another running back because they don't think that they know how much longer they have. And with Henry's got to be 28, 29 right now, so he's getting pretty old. And then they drafted another depth piece at tackle. They got a tight end in Wiley. I don't know. Maybe they add to what's going on with them, but I don't think they need to. Levis maybe in a couple years. It doesn't sound like he's doing too well at camp. I don't know. Schedule doesn't look that crazy. You still get Indy twice a year. You still get Houston twice a year. You get New Orleans, you get Atlanta, you get Tampa, and you gotta beat some who I think is going to be some pretty good teams this year. But even if you lose to a lot of them, you get Carolina, Miami, Seattle, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Cincy. But I guess the rest of the division has to play those guys too. So yeah, I have the Titans winning the division. So that's only one division down, right? Because we haven't in the AFC. Because we haven't done East. Oh yeah. We're not. I don't think we're even close to other AFC teams. But we got to the NFC division winner way faster than we got to an AFC division winner. 11-6. If 11-6 is the worst division finisher, I guess that's about right in the AFC. 11-6. Yeah, that's my 14th. Not much more to say. That division's kind of meh. I don't know. They're winning. Like, I guess Hopkins is a splash move, but I feel like the Titans are the Titans. They always start off like nobody bets them. They're kind of like the Pats. Pats haven't got to that level of dismissal yet, where everybody's just kind of like writing the Titans off. I guess the Pats 6.5. I should have checked the Titans over under. I bet it's 7.5. I bet it's higher than 6.5. That's pretty low, especially with Hopkins on the team. But yeah, I have the Titans as my 14th. That doesn't mean that they're excellent. They're slightly above average. 14's slightly above average. So yeah, but they're winning the division. It's slightly above average. So there you go. And the Jags are not making the playoffs because they're slightly above average. That's the AFC. That's the AFC for you. So that's all I got. Thanks for listening. And next time I'm gonna have 13. And I don't have that on my paper, so I can't even give you like a sneak peek. So thanks for listening, and I will see you next time. Peace.